Hi, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and this is Monday, April the 2nd, and this will serve as our chart lesson for today. And we had a really good trend today, so it was a really nice trading day. You didn't have to take a lot of entries. There were 4 or 5 really key setups that you could have taken and done well today. And it was mostly up all the way into late in the afternoon when it's really too late to be trading anyway. And but let's just talk about the trades. I've backed out a little bit here so you can kind of see what I had. We were really in a trading range. We had a down sloping trend line here, but this is more of what I would call a trading range than really a down sloping trend. But we were making lower highs all the way down here. We just weren't really making lower lows, and we had this failed break lower here and a second entry long on that failed break lower, and that was a great place to get long. It was just after the opening. The opening was right in here at 8:30, and you actually could have gone short right here. It was a little bit dangerous because you were so close to the strong support, and it looks like it would have worked, but I wouldn't have recommended taking that trade with a strong double bottom here and previous support across there from back on Friday. So it really wasn't a great place to go short, but if you saw that and took it, you know, it was a nice reversal bar on the second entry short. There just wasn't a lot of room to scalp out. Even if you used the most of the lows, it still was a little iffy. But if you took that, it would have worked out, and it did fit our rules other than its strong support, which was the reason I didn't take it. And but I went long right here, and this was a great setup, one of the best setups of the day. Any runners would have survived, and you could have caught this whole trend for the entire day off this entry right down here. And if you missed that one, you definitely should have taken this one. This was a second entry long off this support area that got tested again, and prices immediately, that's rejection right there. Prices got rejected out of there, and it was off to the races. And they struggled just a minute here, but it wasn't long until they were taken off again. And so you could have even entered here, although I didn't like this one because by that time there's a couple of overlapping bars. But if you went to a different chart, it's still offering you a second entry long counting off this bottom. But counting off this top, there's your first entry long down, and then there's your next break above the next bar. So there's your second entry long. And it took this one a minute to work out, but if you had your stop below your signal bar, you were okay, which is the way we try to teach it. This is the best place. Even if you had your stop below the entry bar right here, you still would have survived that trade. And again, any of your runners would have been safe off of that entry as well. Either one of these entries, your runners should have been safe. The entry was really right here is where you should have entered. If you entered here, it wasn't a bad trade, but the real entry was right there above that nice bullish reversal bar. And if you entered right there, any runners would have been safe, and you could have taken this all the way. So either of these two entries were great entries, and hopefully you spotted them this morning. And this did fit our trend line rules. This was kind of what I'd call a minor trend line. It was really more of a trading range, but we still had the trend line in place. Prices were somewhat respecting it. We broke above it. We pulled back and tested the trend line and the previous support area at the same time. And anytime you get, that's what I would call confluence. You got more than one reason to go long right there. And actually you got multiple reasons. The second entry long, it's a two-legged pullback. This created, these two swings created our trend line for the day, you can see, and it would have held all day long. So there were a couple of really great setups there. And then your next entry would have been right here. Again, it was a second entry long. Even if you just followed the basic breaks, there's your first break, then another little move down in a second break. But it's a pull back to the EMA. And it's really kind of a two-legged pullback. There's your first leg back right there, and then there's your second leg down. And so it's really just a two-legged pullback. Depending on how small a chart, you probably would even see 3 legs in there. I think this is a leg, a pullback, another leg, pullback, and then maybe another leg right there. So there's several legs in there, but for the most part, it's a second entry long. bouncing off the trend line. If you didn't go long here, you definitely should have got long above that bar right there, which is probably even the better place to go long. But because you had this double bottom across here, it's kind of hard to see. But if you move your line up there, you see you got a double bottom across there, even if you draw it right there. And that's a breakout pullback coming back to retest this area right in here. And you can see that we were retesting that area right there and then off to the races. So another good setup. And again, any runners would have been safe. Every entry today off this trend line, all your key entries, your runners were safe. And that's good because it got, you know, the trend kind of got out of hand right up here, and it was really off, taking off and nice and steep. And it would have been risky to enter anywhere. This was a breakout pullback long right here. So you could have gone long right here. I didn't mark that one because we didn't, you know, that's good enough to be a breakout pullback long, but it's kind of iffy. And you can see right there, it did pull back and test it after it broke through. And that's good enough if you took that. But I didn't like that trade, so I didn't mark it. It's not a great breakout pullback long, but it fits our rules. So if you took it, it was okay there too. I just didn't mark it because it's not a key entry point, to be honest with you. You'd be getting long too close to all this resistance right across here. And you see it struggled a little bit, but once it got going, took off. Then we had a double bottom right here. This one would have been iffy, but okay too, because we haven't touched our trend channel line. All I did to get that line was copy the trend line that was easy to find today. You see that's a perfect match. I copied it, moved it up to the top. There you are. And even if you did it like this, you know, same thing. And but I usually try to find where I get the, you know, the most touches, and usually that's generally the right spot. And then we didn't have another one. We kind of went into this trading range, but you know, after a move that strong, you'd figure that we may go into a trading range, which we did, and we may even get a little bit of a correction. But the market was strong, and all we could really muster up was this pullback to the EMA, and it's a failed break below all of this right here. And you can see we broke a little bit lower, created that broader double bottom, and then there's your nice bullish bar to go. You're getting on with the trend. So there's multiple reasons. You got your bounce off the trend line. You got your bounce off the strong support. And we really, by that time, we kind of had strong resistance too. But the trend was up, and the trend always takes precedence, and this trade would have worked out. And you wouldn't have got much more than a scalp, a little bit more, and then we had this sell-off late in the afternoon to come back. But we really didn't get a good test of all this, so it wouldn't surprise to see me come back. Surprised me to see prices come back and test all this across here again. But anyway, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if you maybe 6, maybe 7 trades in there you could have taken. But you got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are at key entry points, the really good trades. And if you caught any of these and you kept a runner, you should have made good money today. And in fact, you could have ridden this one all the way to the high. This would have been a great place to exit here. Once you start to see prices really struggle right here, that would have been a great place to exit any of these runners, and you would have pretty much gotten out at the high. And definitely when prices broke higher, I would have moved my stops up below here at the very least. And but I actually exited when this hit right in here. I was just waiting for a touch of this trend channel line, and that was my cue to get out, and I got out right in here somewhere. I think I was actually right below this bar right here on my runners today. So great place to exit. Got out very close to the top, within a point or two of the top, and that's what you want to try to do. And yeah, prices could have gone on higher, but it's late in the day. If it wasn't too late in the day, you could, you just re-enter again up here. Don't give your money back, and you see we're still going lower here at this is where we just opened on at 3:30. So, but it was a great day, a nice trend channel, and the setups were fairly easy to see today. If you couldn't see these setups, go study your chart, because these are just basic setups. And you should have easily found that trend line, and it was just a matter of following the rules the rest of the day. So pretty easy day, pretty good trend, and most people tend to do better when we have a good trend day if they're following the rules. Occasionally it throws people off because we've been ranging so much, and they got that range rules kind of stuck in their head, and they're not used to seeing prices trend, and it kind of throws them off a little bit. And but don't let it throw you off. Just watch the price action. Don't argue with it. Don't fight it. As easy as that is to say, I know it's very difficult to do in real time because you've heard me say it before. When it comes to trading, having a strategy that works is important, but it's not what, I mean, there's a lot of different strategies you can use that work. I don't believe that there's any that works as well as price action, learning how to read a chart and learning what prices are doing. I think that's the best way to make money. And most, in fact, the only traders I know that truly make money, they know how to read a chart. They don't use any indicators. They don't use any fancy tools. They just understand how to read the chart, and they go with what they see on the chart. And I'm not saying, that's not to say that there's not some fancy indicator out there, but I've never seen one that works. So if somebody wants to send me one and tell me that it works, I'd be happy to look at it, but I've never seen one that works. So but anyway, that's another story. I don't want to go down that road, but if you do have one that works, keep trading it, and hopefully it keeps working for you. But if you really want to understand what prices are doing and why they're doing it and where they're likely to go next, learn how to read a chart, and then you just stay with the price action and you do what it tells you to do until it fails. And I know that sounds easy, and it really is that easy. What's hard, again, where I was going with this whole thing, is what's hard in trading is the psychological part. You'll know the rules, you'll know what to do, and you'll know what not to do, but you will get emotional and you'll make a mistake. I mean, I know because I've done it plenty of times myself, and I'm going to use this little example, and then we're going to call it a day, and you'll probably feel like an echo in your ear. But there's probably a lot of it that got short right here, thinking that prices were going lower, and you're getting short at the lows, and then a little wham, next thing you know, prices are going against you, and you say, okay, we're coming back here, and then you probably exited up here, and you think, well, here we go, we're going down again, and you get short again, and then all it does is reverse on you again. You're thinking, what the heck? And then you probably decided to get long right here, and then it reverses and starts, and you're thinking, oh, I was on the right side, and then you reverse back to long, or back to short again, and then there it goes. It's off to the races to the upside. And that's one of the things that people do, and you just, you don't, until you're really good at reading price action, you really understand a chart, how to read it, don't reverse. Just when you're wrong, just get out and relax a minute, get up and walk around if you need to, and then start over. You'll be glad you did, trust me. And if you make a couple of bad trades in a row, don't try to get back at the market. Just get up and walk around, relax, come back refreshed, or quit and come back tomorrow refreshed. And because generally all you're going to do is just give them more money. And then the other thing that people do is they sit here and they recognize that prices are going up and up and up, and they keep waiting on the pullback. And the pullback doesn't come, and they finally say, I got to get on with it, and it's somewhere right in here. And no sooner than you get on, then prices are pulling back, and you're thinking, oh no, I got in at the very top. And then you reverse to the short side right down here, and then next thing you know, the trend's going again, and you just whipsaw yourself again. And I know that happens because I know it used to happen to me. And every once in a while I still make a mistake, and it happens. So you got to fight. That's the hard part of trading, is fighting that mental block that causes you to do dumb things. So just concentrate on what are prices doing, and try to get on board with them. Try to find the trend. This trend was fairly easy to find. If you couldn't find this trend, you got a lot of work to do. You need to really study your charts, because this was you just draw that off the first two swings, and it was off to the races. And every time it came back and touched the EMA or the trend line, prices just went higher. And that's what you want to see. That's a great trend. And it was the same thing when it was coming down. Even though this wasn't a real good trend, look what happened every time prices came back to the EMA. The only time it didn't go lower on the trend line was right here, but notice it still, even after breaking it, came back and retested it, and that's what prices do. So you got to trust the setups, and sometimes that's hard if you've been losing a lot, but learn to trust your setups. Learn the first thing you got to do is learn to see this after the fact, and study your chart every day, and eventually you'll start to be able to pick up your chart and easily see these things. And then as you continue to do that, then you'll start to see them set up in real time. You go, hey, look at there. Just what I thought it was going to do, it did. And then you'll slowly get better at it. But it doesn't happen overnight, so don't get discouraged if you're still struggling. Keep working at it. Keep studying those charts. And again, I'll say that one more time and I'm going to call it a day. Keep studying those charts every day. At the end of the day, put your trades, circle your trades, put them on your chart. Go back and look at what worked, what didn't work, and try to figure out why it worked if it worked, and try to figure out why it didn't work if it didn't. And usually you'll see why. You went long at a high right in here. You went short at a low right in here. You were trying to get long in the middle without waiting on a pull back to the EMA or the trend line. You'll be able to easily see what you did wrong generally after the fact. And the better you get at that, then you'll start to see it in real time. And so that's what you got to work towards. And but if you can't see it after the fact, don't even attempt to think you can attempt to see it in real time, because it's a whole lot harder when you can't see. It's a whole lot harder right here to believe prices are fixing to go to a trend like that. But you see you got strong support here, and when it broke down twice right there and couldn't go lower, you figure prices are at least coming back to here. And, if they go higher, then that's that much greater. But you see, they did. They went out much higher. And you could have actually got several points out of that. Even if you exited up here and didn't hang on to your runner, you still should have made 2 or 3 points right here. And but if you held on to a runner, it's off to the races. And same thing right here. And again, if you look at this right here, it's still hard to believe that trend's coming. But now you got a lower low, a higher high, and a higher low, and that's a reversal type pattern. And then there you go, off to the races. Boom, 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 boom. But anyway, this is Mac. I'm gonna call it a day. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you tomorrow. This will be a short week. We've got Good Friday coming up. We got an Easter holiday, and so keep that in mind. You've only got a couple of days to trade this week. We'll see you tomorrow.